In 1935, Erwin Schrödinger published his famous thought experiment, the cat in the box, alive and dead simultaneously. Superposition. But Schrödinger wasn't satisfied with the math. He wanted to understand consciousness itself. So, in 1925, before the cat, before the Nobel Prize, he traveled to India to meet a man sitting in silence on a mountain. Ramana Maharshi, born 1879, same year as Einstein. No formal education, no books written, just one question, asked for 54 years. Who am I? Not philosophy, a practice, self-inquiry, Atma Vichara. And when Schrödinger met him in 1925, he discovered something quantum mechanics couldn't explain. Consciousness has no observer, just observation. This meeting changed Schrödinger's physics. 10 years later, 1935, he publishes What is Life?, the book that launched molecular biology. But buried in chapter 4, he quotes the Upanishads, not the cat, the ancient texts. His colleagues were confused. Why is the father of quantum mechanics citing Indian philosophy? Because Ramana showed him what the wave function couldn't. When you search for the observer disappears. Schrödinger's cat is alive and dead until observed. Ramana's teaching, there is no observer. Never was. Just consciousness, observing itself. In the next 12 minutes, I'll show you 3 teachings Ramana gave Schrödinger, the same self-inquiry method that dissolves the separate self, and the exact "Who am I?" protocol Ramana used for 54 years. This isn't theory. This is the practice that changed quantum physics. Here's what Ramana taught Schrödinger about observation. Quantum mechanics says, the observer collapses the wave function. Measurement creates reality. But Schrödinger asked Ramana, who is the observer? Ramana's method, turn observation back on itself. Not, what am I observing, but who is observing? When you look for the observer, you find nothing. No separate you standing apart from experience. Just awareness, observing, with no one doing the observing. Schrödinger recognized this immediately. The observer effect in quantum mechanics. When you measure a particle, the particle changes, because measurement is not separate from the measured. Ramana, when you inquire, who am I? The inquirer dissolves, because the self you're searching for doesn't exist as a separate entity. The observer is the observation. This is why Schrödinger quoted the Upanishads in his physics papers. Ramana had shown him the same paradox. Consciousness, observing consciousness, no division. Right now, notice you're aware of reading these words. Ask, who is aware? Try to find the you that's aware. Look for it. Here's why this matters for your life. Every problem you have comes from believing there's a separate you observing your life, watching, judging, separate. But when you look for that observer, it vanishes. Ramana to Schrödinger. The observer you're looking for is the looking itself. Search for the searcher. It disappears. Not because it's hidden, because it never existed. Schrödinger applied this to the measurement problem. In quantum mechanics, observation collapses possibility into actuality. The wave function becomes a particle when measured. But who measures the measurer? Ramana's answer, no one. There is no final observer standing outside the system. Consciousness doesn't observe reality. Consciousness is reality, appearing to observe itself. Schrödinger wrote in 1935, consciousness is never experienced in the plural, only in the singular. Not my consciousness and your consciousness. One consciousness, appearing as many. This came directly from Ramana. Ramana's teaching, Atman equals Brahman. Individual consciousness equals universal consciousness. Not two things becoming one thing appearing as two. Schrödinger's physics describe the same structure. The wave function is everywhere until observed. Then, it collapses into a location. But who's observing the collapse? Another wave function, collapsing endlessly. unless there's no separate observer, just consciousness collapsing into itself. Close your eyes for 3 seconds. In that darkness, who's aware of the darkness? Can you find the you that's aware? Or just awareness? Ramana asked this question for 54 years. Every person who came to him, "Who am I?" Open your eyes. Here's the deeper layer Ramana revealed to Schrödinger. Most people think, I observe consciousness. I have awareness. Ramana, no, consciousness has you. There's no subject experiencing consciousness. Consciousness is the subject, and the object, and the experience itself. Schrödinger called this the observer illusion. In quantum mechanics, we think the observer is separate from the observed, standing outside, measuring objectively. But Heisenberg's uncertainty principle proved the observer affects the observed. Measurement changes the system. Why? Because there is no separation. Ramana taught Schrödinger the direct method, self-inquiry. When a thought arises, ask, to whom does this thought arise? Answer, to me. Then ask, who am I? The thought vanishes, because the me you're looking for doesn't exist as a separate entity. Not I am conscious, just consciousness. No subject required. This is what Schrödinger meant when he wrote, "The world is given to me only once, not one existing and one perceived. One consciousness, not two." Notice a thought appearing right now. Any thought. Ask, to whom does this thought appear? Feel the impulse to say, to me. Notice me is just another thought. Here's why this matters today. The suffering in your life comes from the belief in a separate me, a subject experiencing life separate from life itself. Ramana, that me is a thought, nothing more. When the thought of me arises, ask, who am I? The thought dissolves, not because you destroyed the self, because you looked for it and found it wasn't there. The subject is the illusion. Consciousness is the truth. The third teaching Ramana gave Schrödinger. The ego's death is identical to wave function collapse. In quantum mechanics, superposition means all possibilities exist simultaneously until observation. Then the wave function collapses. Infinite possibility becomes one actuality. Ramana taught, the ego is superposition. All possible selves, all stories, all identities. I am a scientist. I am successful. I am separate. Self-inquiry collapses this, not into one identity, into no identity. Pure awareness, before the ego claims it. Schrödinger recognized this as the same mechanics. The wave function doesn't collapse into a particle. It collapses into pure potential, appearing as a particle. The ego doesn't die into nothing. It collapses into pure consciousness, appearing as a person. This sounds abstract, but Ramana made it biological.
Cool.
Every time you think, I am this body, I am this mind, I am this person, your brain creates a neural pattern, the default mode network, the sense of continuous self, me, across time. Ramana's self-inquiry directly disrupts this network. When you ask, who am I? And search for the self, the default mode network quiets. This isn't philosophy, it's measurable neuroscience. Modern brain scans show, during self-inquiry meditation, the default mode network deactivates. The sense of separate self disappears. Not because you destroyed anything, because you looked for the self and found the looking itself. Schrödinger, the observer collapses into observation. Ramana, the ego collapses into awareness. Same process. Physics and consciousness describing the same collapse. This is what Schrödinger brought back from India, the practice behind the paradox. Notice right now, you believe you're a continuous self, a me that persists across time. But can you find that self, or just thoughts about a self? appearing now. The practice we're about to do dissolves this, not by destroying the ego, by looking for it. From I have consciousness to consciousness appears as I. That shift is self-inquiry. Ramana practiced this every moment for 54 years. Schrödinger practiced it after 1925. Now you'll practice it for 2 minutes. Here's what happened after Schrödinger returned from India. 1925. Meets Ramana, learns self-inquiry. 1926. Publishes wave equation, revolutionizes physics. 1935. Publishes What is Life, quotes Upanishads directly. His colleagues asked, "Why Indian philosophy in a physics book?" Schrödinger's answer, "Science cannot tell us a word about why music delights us, why the old song can move us to tears. Science is reticent where it matters most." Pause, 3 seconds. But Ramana's teaching wasn't philosophy, it was a method. The who am I? Practice. Atma Vichara. Step 1. Notice a thought or sensation. Step 2. Ask, to whom does this arise? Step 3. When the answer to me appears, ask, who am I? Step 4. Rest in the silence when the thought dissolves. Ramana called this the direct path, not gradual enlightenment, immediate recognition. You are not the thinker. You are that in which thoughts arise. Not I have awareness. Awareness appears as I. This is the protocol. Schrödinger practiced it daily after 1925, for 30 years, until his death in 1961. Now, you'll experience it. The next 2 minutes give you Ramana's exact method. The same practice Schrödinger learned in 1925. Not visualization, not affirmation, pure inquiry. This isn't theory, this is the collapse of the observer into observation. The practice begins now. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. 3 deep breaths. Step 1. Notice a thought, any thought. I'm listening to this. I wonder if this will work. I'm tired. Notice the thought appearing. Don't judge it, don't change it. Just notice. A thought is here. Step 2. Ask, to whom does this thought arise? Silently, internally, to whom? Notice the automatic answer, to me. Feel the me, the sense of being a separate self to whom things happen. This me feels real, solid, continuous. But is it? Or just another thought? Step 3. Ask, who am I? Not asking for a concept, asking for direct looking. Who am I? Not the name, not the body, not the story. Who is this I to whom the thought appeared? Look for it. Search for the I. Where is it? Can you locate it? In the head? The chest? Somewhere? Keep looking. Who am I? Notice, the more you look, the less you find. Pause. 5 seconds. Not because the I is hidden, because it's not there as a separate thing. Step 4. Rest in the collapse. When the thought of I dissolves, rest there. Not blank, not empty. Aware, but no one being aware. Just awareness. Aware of itself. This is what Ramana called the self. Not the personal self. Pure awareness before division. Schrödinger called it the singular consciousness, same recognition. Physics and self-inquiry arriving at the same collapse. Stay here, aware, no observer, just observation. When another thought arises, repeat, to whom? Who am I? Collapse. Ramana did this every moment for 54 years. You're doing it now. Begin to return, slowly. Wiggle your fingers. Wiggle your toes. As you return, next week, how the Upanishads predicted quantum entanglement and the practice of non-separation. Take 3 final breaths. When you're ready, open your eyes. Schrödinger meets Ramana Maharshi, publishes the cat thought experiment. But the cat wasn't the discovery. The discovery was what Ramana taught him in India, self-inquiry. The observer collapsing into observation. 3 teachings, 1 practice. Self-inquiry equals observer effect. When you look for the observer, it vanishes. Consciousness without subject. Not I am aware, just awareness, appearing as I. Ego death equals wave function collapse. Infinite possibility, collapsing into pure awareness. Ramana asked the same question for 54 years. Schrödinger practiced it for 30. Try it this week. When a thought arises, to whom? Who am I? Tell me in the comments. What happened when you looked for the observer? Schrödinger's cat is famous. Ramana's question changed his life. Who am I? 1,800 years before quantum mechanics. Still dissolving the observer.